Tonight, in our time together,
we take an unexpected journey to Middle-earth.
Well, not really, but we do talk to one of the stars of The Hobbit.
There are a few warriors amongst us.
Richard Armitage will try to uncover where Tolkien was really coming from and find out what those hobbits and dwarves were smoking.
New Zealand premiere, 100,000 people showed up to see a movie. 100,000 people. Of course, I'm talking about The Hobbit. And Richard Armitage is here. I'm so excited. Here's his bio.
The Hobbit, an unexpected journey. I'm sure many of you were ready for this when the lights went up at the end of The Return of the King.
The precious will be ours.
And 9 years ago, Peter Jackson's original Lord of the Rings trilogy made household names out of the likes of Viggo Mortensen and Orlando Bloom. And we can likely expect the same for Richard Armitage, a.k.a. Thorin Oakenshield. He's in the new Hobbit film.
My kin, may it serve you well.
But let's leave Middle-earth for just a moment and talk about destiny. Growing up in England's East Midlands, Richard's favorite book, The Hobbit. One of his first acting roles as a kid in The Hobbit. So when Peter Jackson came calling, the actor known for playing heavies, a henchman in Robin Hood and a Nazi agent in Captain America, he picked himself off the floor and steadied himself to play a hero.
Got the rope! Please welcome Richard Armitage. Nice to see you. How are you? Excellent. Excellent. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Very excited to see you. I mean, the Hobbit premiere in New Zealand, those numbers are...
I know, I'm glad you got the numbers, because I was trying to work it out this morning, and I think I'd said something like 2 billion people turned up, but it did feel like quite a lot of people.
We can just go back in time and I'll say 2 billion if you prefer.
There's a lot. I mean, it was pretty much the entire town turned out, and Neil Finn played a set at the Embassy Theatre, and a Boeing 747 flew over the carpet with our faces painted all over the plane, so it was a pretty good day, yeah.
I'm assuming you read it when you were a kid.
Yeah, I was a big fan. I read it when I was 11, and then I was in a stage production when I was about 13, and I played an elf. And I was dressed in sort of wool that had been sprayed to look like chainmail, and Gollum was paper, and the dragon was like a red light with smoke because they didn't have enough money. So coming back to it a few years later, it was pretty much identical to that production.
I think so. Yeah. I think so. But except now, instead of being an elf, you have a guy that's got the longest grudge ever with an elf.
And the longest hair ever.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty interesting, isn't it? It's a long sort of process of hatred towards the elves. And, you know, Tolkien wrote the dwarves as a very kind of forbidden race. They were suppressed, and they have a secret language, and they sort of bury themselves underground. So when they finally emerge, they've got a lot of agenda going on.
What do you think he was trying to get across?
It's interesting. I think there was something in what he did which is talking about the Jewish race. You know, the whole idea of a kind of race of people that are in exile, trying to find their way home. I think there's just a hint of that without taking it too seriously.
Too right. He had written this book relatively long after the end of the First World War, but when he was writing it, Hitler was becoming Hitler in Germany. So this was in the era. No one knew Hitler was going to be the guy he was, but the rise was there.
Yeah, and also, you know, I think a lot of what Tolkien wrote was inspired by his own experiences in World War I, in the Battle of the Somme, and he lost very, very close friends. So the idea of the small man stepping out of his front door and being asked to go into great danger and fight is pretty much what The Hobbit's about, really. That's what Bilbo Baggins goes through. And, you know, Tolkien was a devout Christian. He was a Catholic, and I think that just there's a flavor of Christianity that comes through his writing. There's the idea of chivalry and nobility expressed through kindness and mercy, which pervades all of his work.
But also, and this was absolutely Catholic, and there is a redemption story, except it's hard fought.
Yeah.
It really is harder than most people think to get yourself to that right place.
Yeah, and actually for Thorin as well, it's very much a journey where he has a thread of corruption in him that he knows about greed.
Yeah.
I mean, could there be anything more relevant at the moment of the corruption of greed? And he knows it exists in him, and his grandparents suffered this terrible dragon sickness, so God, it's sounding really serious, isn't it? It's actually, it's actually a really fun movie. It's about dwarves drinking and telling...
a lot of bare feet flopping around and throwing food at each other. It's definitely a food fight. Let's play a clip, a nice ceremonial clip here.
Yeah.
My name's Richard, I'm from London, England.
That was an important ceremony, wasn't it?
That's not the film, though.
No. That's actually what the movie looks like.
The movie.
That's
It's great, isn't it? It's going to wow you.
That's an important ceremony for the film, right?
I actually used that Maori as a daily preparation for the role because there was something about the way that the Maori warrior prepares himself for battle that I really wanted to use for Thorin. But that was the blessing of the soundstage. It was our first day on set, and they sang this incredible song, and they raised the door of the soundstage as the sun rose, and the sun kind of made its way up the wall of the soundstage, and I knew that we were going to have a great time filming. It was incredibly moving.
It's nice to add that layer to your life, isn't it? The one where you just make it's not as much about you, but you can extend to some kind of spirituality or some kind of connection.
I mean, I have to be honest, it comes from the leader, and the leader is Peter. And Peter inspires that kind of loyalty. And it was evident in the amount of people that came back to work on The Hobbit from The Lord of the Rings. And I actually stole a little gem of that from him for my character because I wanted Thorin to lead with that quiet authority. I wanted him to inspire loyalty rather than command it, and that's exactly how Peter Jackson works.
We like our heroes to be really flawed now. It used to be we like them to be a little flawed.
Yeah.
Where are we now? We the good guy. What is the good guy anymore?
Well, I guess when you play the good guy, you just have to look for the flaws in him, and likewise with a bad character, you have to look for the goodness in him, and that's what's always inspired me about any role I play, is looking for those complexities and the paradoxes. And when I was working on Thorin, it kind of happened by accident that in order to create a voice for him, I was using pieces of Shakespeare, and I ended up finding bits of Henry V, bits of Richard III, and bits of Macbeth, all of which seemed to work for the idea of this character that has a goal, has a real ambition. But at the door to that mountain, inside that mountain, is the most terrible horror he can possibly imagine, of the dragon. He's leading his people there. He's leading his own nephews to that place. And inside of the mountain is all of that gold, and he knows that he has the potential to be corrupted by that gold and take on the dragon sickness. So it's a very kind of complicated journey that he goes on.
Your character, obviously, you take you take it seriously what Gandalf says to you, right?
Yeah.
Maybe the only one. So maybe I should ask you.
Is this like a grab
I'm going to wear it with the Gandalf hat just to make sure that you answer this question honestly.
Has got a Gandalf hat?
Anybody else got a Gandalf hat? Oh, they all do.
I love
it. Okay. So there's a couple of wizards in this particular film, right?
There's a lot of magic in this room.
That's super weird. It's super weird. Gandalf and Radagast.
Yeah.
One smokes what appears to be a lot of weed in this film.
He's not the only one.
Right. Well, the other one's taking so many mushrooms, his brain is fried.
Yeah.
So are these two wizards the Snoop Dogg and Dre of Middle Earth?
Yeah, they just don't create the same kind of music.
True. So the drug reference is actually kind of funny, this one.
Yeah, we shouldn't really talk about that.
I'm wearing the hat.
Is it 8 o'clock at night?
Dude, I'm wearing the hat. You have to answer honestly.
Yeah, I mean, dwarves make their own moonshine. That's one thing that we definitely discussed. But yeah, there are references to smoking a little bit of naughty grass.
Keep it together.
Yeah.
The idea of your career is taken another direction. This is a fan video that was made for you that I was curious about your response to this. Now, in individual moments, right? All right, let's put your mic back on here.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
Yes.
Look, when you...
Don't talk about the Speedos.
No. At some point, are you at that stage of your career where you can look at wardrobe and go, I'm not wearing that?
Yeah, I mean, I try to not be too vain about it, but yeah, I do sort of have a little bit of say now.
It's an odd place to be, though, because obviously all those scenes edited together by fans. It's nice in a way that they're liking you for whatever reason they're liking you, but it's still it's a different reality that you're in now. Because when you're on stage, if you're in a Macbeth or a Hamlet, you're not thinking about this part of the life, are you?
No, that's true. And actually, they talk about film being for life, and that's why they say it. But you've got to you do what you do and you embrace it. And all of those kind of videos and all that fan appreciation, it's like they're the people that buy the tickets. So, I welcome it.
So good to see you, man. Thanks for coming.
You too.
We'll appreciate it. What's your name, everybody? The Hobbit is called An Unexpected Journey. Obviously, December 14th. We'll go back.